Well, it's been about 11 to 12 games since I first warned what would happen to the Warriors if Steve Kerr went back to his motion offense stuff, going back to small to tiny lineups, the things that they were not doing in the first 11 games when they started the season 9-2. And well, Steve, after that Mavs game, decided to change everything up, cancel Terry Stotts' offense, go back to his motion offense, and go back to the tiny lineups that make zero sense from a defensive standpoint. You know, the same way he decided to put Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges at the center spot in FIBA competition where Steve Kerr failed to medal, period. He couldn't even medal bronze because he wanted to put Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges at the center spot. Josh Hart was at center, he fouled out, shocker, and then he put Mikal Bridges, a shooting guard, at the center spot, man. And well, I could make the prediction that the Warriors would go completely down south and go downhill once Steve started that trajectory because I know this movie. I've just seen it over and over and over again over the last 3 years, especially when he was going with Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson lineups, and it is just a non-viable 3-guard lineup, and then you put like JK at the 4, you put Wiggins at the 4, Draymond at the 5, and they're just constantly small. We saw it fail against the Lakers miserably. And then last year, we saw it happen again when Chris Paul was on the team, putting Steph Curry at the 2-guard pretty much permanently and continuing to go with those small lineups again. And guess what? In the final 11 games of last season is when they finally learned, oh, hey, maybe we should go a little bit bigger and maybe we'll yield better results on both ends of the floor when there's proper balance on the floor in terms of size. And that's exactly what happened when they went 9-2 in the final 11 games of last season. And they would have went 10-1 had Steve Kerr not decided to sit Trayce Jackson-Davis against the Pelicans with a few games left on the season. He even had to apologize and acknowledge that he should have played Trayce Jackson more after that game. And what is it with this 9-2 runs, man? It's such an interesting number. Last season, they go big, they go 9-2. This season, they go big, change the offense to Terry Stotts' offense, and they go 9-2. And now, going back to the Steve Kerr system, they are 2-9. Very interesting. So let's think about this for a second. When is the last time the Warriors played a game? It was Sunday against the Mavericks when they gave up 143 points to that team. They have had Monday off, Tuesday off, Wednesday off, and today they prepare for this game. All right, so they've had 4 days off to prepare with Dennis Schroeder on board, and they proceed to lose by 51 points to the Grizzlies after allowing 143 points to the Mavericks. They allowed 144 to the Grizzlies. And now, ladies and gents, the Warriors are in the 10th seed. They were in the first seed playing Terry Stotts' offense, playing bigger lineups, and then they went back to all Steve Kerr stuff. I don't know what it is, but this team is petrified of speaking against Steve Kerr and his completely broken, mentally challenged, brain-dead ideologies. Oh, did I say that already? Brain-dead ideologies. The reason I went like this to start this video is because maybe this is all going according to my plan. You know, I said way back about 7, 8, 9 games ago, well, if it takes a 10-game losing streak for the Warriors to finally part ways with Steve Kerr, then that is the most viable path for this team to come alive again under Terry Stotts. New system, new regime. It's time for the Warriors to change it up because last season they were in the play-in barely because of Steve Kerr, and then they got booted out of the play-in in a single game. The season before that, they got booted out in the second round against the Lakers because they decided to go with these small to tiny lineups, running no pick and rolls until game 4 of that series, essentially. Wouldn't even run it consistently against the Kings until they got truly desperate in a game 7 situation. And I don't know, I just can't fathom how Joe Lacob or anybody who has half a brain watching every every single one of these games can't recognize what's really going on. You know, any other coach, this Dennis Schroeder situation, it can work really well for the Warriors. But under Steve Kerr, I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of pick and rolls, did you? I didn't see lineups that are capable of running good pick and roll stuff. Did you? Against the big Grizzlies team, Steve Kerr once again decides to put out small lineups that don't make any sense. 3-guard lineups. You have all kinds of bigs on the team, but you elect to go with a Steph Curry, Potts, and Lindy lineup, a senseless 3-guard lineup. And guess what? What happened last season is repeating all over again. You put Dennis Schroeder, who, looking at him now, next to all these guys on the Warriors, he's freaking tiny, man. You put him next to Steph Curry, guess what? Dennis Schroeder is a permanent point guard in that situation. Do you know what that means? That means Steph Curry is a permanent 2 now moving forward for this team. And do you know what that means? That means everything is over. They are done. Again, you have a bunch of guys on this roster that are big, but Steve elects to go with a lineup that is Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, GP2, Jonathan Kuminga at the 4, Draymond at the 5, and they are just getting wrecked. And Jonathan Kuminga basically never seems to have a good game against a team like the Grizzlies. Completely useless in this game, going 2 of 12 from the field. And that's including garbage time, where things shouldn't be anywhere near as intense as it was the first 3 quarters or so. He went 3 of 13 the last time they played against the Grizzlies too. So should the Warriors fix up whatever is going on, make it to the playoffs, and run into a team like the Grizzlies, good luck making use out of Jonathan Kuminga in that series. You know, to all the people who are so enamored by Jonathan Kuminga and his potential, who exactly do you think that this guy is going to become? He doesn't have the handles to be a number 2 option. Forget number 1 option, all right? You have to wonder if he's capable of being a number 2 option in his absolute prime. And well, a number 2 option has to be able to create for himself and his teammates if you want to be a true number 2 that any team can try to be powerful with. I don't see that. Do you? So given that he doesn't have the handles to be a proper number 2, at best he could be a number 3 option. A guy who can give you some points, who can finish strong at the rim, and then be an absolute force from a defensive standpoint as like a primary POA type. But a strong defender is strong everywhere. They can play in the perimeter and they stay strong when guys get into the paint. But Kuminga's defense is a joke once it gets into the paint area on most nights. The guy is 6'7", 225 pounds, is built like a truck. But he plays with the mindset of a 6'3" 2 guard. And Steve Kerr continuously puts him at the 4 despite the fact that he has much better options at the 4. In so many different ways. He has Kevon Looney, Trayce Jackson-Davis, Slo-Mo, and Draymond, and you can use any of those combinations to fill the 4 and the 5 spot to properly put Kuminga at the 3, and Steve Kerr simply refuses to do that, so he is and has been completely and utterly wasting Jonathan Kuminga. Whatever his full potential is can never be realized on this team. Somehow, some way or another, Steve Kerr doesn't understand that small lineups don't play great defense. They're incapable of playing great defense. If you haven't noticed, 144 points to the Grizzlies and 143 points to the Mavs in consecutive games. 287 points combined in the last 2 games. This is literally the most unserious thing I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know if you guys know who this is, but there's a guy named Joey V. Ray on Twitter breaking down Warriors X's and O's. And well, basically he thinks I'm insane for talking about Steve Kerr the way I do. And yet tonight, he questioned why the Warriors, he won't say Steve Kerr's name, he'll just say the Warriors. He questioned why the Warriors completely went away from Terry Stotts' various actions since the Melton injury. He's trying to theorize that because Melton was injured, they had to change everything up. And that's just not true, because Melton missed a bunch of games in the early part of the season, including the Celtics game, by the way. The Warriors won that game without Melton in the lineup. And they were running a whole lot of pick and rolls, and they were running a whole lot of Terry Stotts stuff then, weren't they? So when even a guy like this is questioning why the Warriors have completely reverted back to their old offense that is just predictable and everybody knows what they're gonna do, uncreative, it gets nobody in rhythm. I don't know, man. Everybody is just so fearful of saying the word Steve Kerr and questioning what the hell he's doing, especially the people who are either involved with the NBA in media organizations or some people like Joey V. Ray who's trying to vie for a job in the NBA. Hey, you can't attack a guy like Steve Kerr or NBA coaches and stuff like this if you want to be a part of any organization, right? I'm guessing that's what that is. And it's truly insane, man. everything they do, they're just trying to fit around whatever it is that Steve Kerr prefers over what's actually best for the team. And well, if it's going to take the Warriors being this pathetic continuously and continue to drop games and become even less than a play-in team, which could be very soon given their continued tough schedule that is coming up and no changes being made. And I'd like to share this tweet because I think it's a really good one. Let's read this for a second. Apparently, Diana Taurasi said something along the lines of coaches need to be more malleable and be able to adjust to the players that are on the team rather than expecting the players to always adjust to them. That is what Steve Kerr has done with every single player that has ever been on his team, including Steph Curry, including Draymond, including KD, including Klay Thompson, including all the young players. It just doesn't matter who they are or what talents they possess. They all have to fit into a stupid little system that everybody has figured out roughly 8 years ago. And they have to essentially overcome that on a regular basis. You hear what I'm saying? The Warriors have to regularly overcome Steve Kerr's system to win any given game. And think about it. When it's crunch time, they can never run the motion offense because it is going to fail them every single time, which is why when things get desperate and they have no choice is when they try to run to other actions like the pick and roll. But like I say after every game, after every video after video after video, you can't just run that as a last resort thing after not running it the entire game and expect the players to be in rhythm running it. I just can't emphasize enough how the Warriors had 4 days off to fix up from whatever went wrong against the Mavs. And well, Steve Kerr came out with the exact same game plan, no adjustments, and you lose by 50 points after having that much time off. After having that much time to prepare your team, this is how your team comes out. This team is done under Steve Kerr. It's over. The only way this fixes up is if Joe Lacob finally has had enough, or whenever that will be, and let this guy walk, man. Let this guy walk. Let Terry Stotts take over. And I will bet the farm that the Warriors will look like a brand new team. There's so many people that want to blame Steph Curry, Draymond, the veterans, young players. They want to blame all the players. They don't want to blame the guy who's supposed to be playing chess, but he's playing checkers. But yeah, keep losing games in this trajectory. I don't think that even Joe Lacob, will have a choice but to let this guy walk. So like I said, this is going according to my plan. Let's see how things continue to play out in the next 5 games or so. And if they continue to drop these games, what is the point of having this guy? I look forward to the day when they finally let Steve Kerr go. And guess what? I will 1000% look like a genius when that happens. Because I'm telling you, this team is going to look so much better. All of you will be completely and utterly shocked at how much better this team looks without Steve Kerr getting in the way. Mark my words. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, as always, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, the like button, all the good stuff. Until next time.